What are you going to say? What are you going to say about my hair?
Oh boy, another day, another dollar. Let's see if we can get on the mic and holler.
Some death row, maybe.
Some death row?
Yeah.
Because we did take a death row picture.
We did. Got a lot of good feedback, too.
I've been reading that. I just been sitting back reading.
Texting, calling. Charles Patty calling. I can't believe that's the dopest cover. Even Petra was like... We did before we start off, we did a homage. This is something I've been wanting to do forever. My idea.
Oh, he got to make sure he say it's his idea.
Hold on.
It's his idea.
No, hold on.
Go ahead.
Can I finish the story, sir? It's my idea to do the shoot yesterday to pay homage to Death Row. It was a famous Vibe magazine cover, Suge, Pac, Dre, Snoop. But initially, I've been wanting to do it for a while. But in 2020, Larry had this vision where he wanted to do of Team Donald's, basically, right? Few selected people to do that. So it refreshed my memory to have that idea. Is that better?
So you pretty much plagiarized. You stole it.
Well,
let's go ahead. We on air. You stole it.
No, because
you stole what I was going to do.
Death Row did it first.
No, but you were stealing it from me.
Is it stealing if I'm paying homage? And
you paying homage to the idea that I had.
How come you got glitter all over you?
I don't got no glitter on me, man. What you trying to say, man?
I'm not saying anything. But anyway, that it turned out great, right? Shout out to Donnie Poppy for he's gonna do
oh man, that dude good.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. He can.
So who's Donnie Poppy? Catch me up because I'm like halfway
he's
into
an
this
artist.
Conversation.
He's like the hottest artist.
Yeah, he do all that.
Well, no, he brought in a photographer, his buddy, and let me tell the story.
Hey, listen, because I need. You might want to do one. You can have one with you, the wife, and the kids, man, which would be real, like just a nice picture.
It's like a photo, then.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like he's a professional, just top notch.
And the Andy Don Art Studio did the photo shoot, and Donnie Poppy.
Oh wow, that looks good.
Yeah, but
you've got to figure out a way to post that so everybody can see what we're looking. I mean, Larry looks good too.
This was the original.
Okay, yeah.
So Donnie's going
that.
currently as we speak, he is doing a painting of it, which we're going to unveil at the after podcast party for the Lifestyle magazine launch. We're going to come back here, do a podcast, and we're going to unveil the painting. He's doing a real painting of that.
I think creative portraits are the coolest way of doing it, because you remember when we were kids, everybody just do like the old boring photo or your embarrassing middle school class pictures. Yeah, that's played out. But what you did there, that's interesting, because it's not something that you always do, and it connects to something that resonates with yourself.
Absolutely, it's kind of I've been wanting to do that for the longest time. I think what perfect with Blake, Larry, and Tim to do that, and then Tim being Suge just put it over the top.
And listen, I think everybody's picture came out good except for mine.
I think yours was the best. I'm honestly, yours was you had the easiest sell. You're already black, and you had the ring and the chain. No, yours came out the best. I think yours looked the hardest.
Tim's because Tim is Suge. He was looking very stern and firm.
He looked like a mob boss.
A boss. Yeah, he looked like a real boss.
So catch me up on who Tim is. So
the studio.
This is his studio.
I got you.
Tim
okay. All right. Now it makes sense.
But what's really funny, because a couple of people even gave me flack. I can't believe you had Tim. Well, Tim signed off at number one to be Suge Knight, and he thought it was hilarious and great at the same time. So Tim Jarrett is ex-law enforcement, 31 years.
30 years,
chief of operations.
Military.
So I said, I said, Tim, you sure you know who Suge Knight is?
He can be tongue-in-cheek and, just be kind of
But that's the guy Tim is.
It's like,
he's at the point in his life.
So uptight.
Yeah.
I mean, I have this phrase. It's the 3 L's. Everything always with Larry. You either living like Larry or you live, laugh, and love.
Yep. All right.
And if you're not doing those three, you are dying.
And how much fun do we have when we all get together? We just bust on each other. Usually
we
more
just jump
at my
on each other
expense.
and it's so much anger in this country. It's so much rage. Everybody mad. So much
it sounds
division.
like you're on the internet.
Well,
Are you on
feed.
Twitter?
No, I'm not on
which,
Twitter.
What are you on? Insta?
I just do
TikTok?
Insta,
Facebook.
No
Okay.
TikTok.
Speaking of which, real quick
Need to
before
get
we
TikTok.
yes, we do. Before we get to Steve and introduce our guest, I like the way the show goes like this. I like it when it's raw and scripted and we're just flowing.
Yeah.
But we have Michaela Montgomery, and her reel somehow went viral, which is great for us. But it, at first, the first 40, 50 comments were all positive. We love you. Somehow it reached some kind of other base, which is great because we want to reach everyone. And the amount of hate on the comments now coming towards her, you were going back
What was
and
she
forth.
saying?
Well,
None, just telling the truth.
She wasn't really.
About just being black,
are
a
you
Republican,
give her-
and her work ethic.
Do you know who
look.
Michaela Montgomery is? The Chick-fil-A girl who
No, I
talked to
don't.
Trump
No,
at Chick-fil-A, went viral.
Trump
and
always have her out.
She's a strong advocate for Trump. She spoke at the convention. She's
Yeah.
been to Mar-a-Lago. She's been to the White House. She's a big support.
Right.
29-year-old.
Yeah.
But you're not allowed to be a black Republican.
But
Like, those are the rules.
But that's the crazy part.
Well, and
I
then
mean,
people
if you're
were
gonna break
saying,
the rules, you're
you know
gonna
what's
catch
funny?
hate.
People on there were saying, you guys just want black people on there who talk bad about Democrats. I said, wow, you obviously don't know anything about us or the show if that's the case. But
So what does she have to say? She's a nice person.
She just
give it her
very real.
mind.
you know what? She's
'Cause see, the thing about it is-
and you can't call her Uncle Tom or something.
But Uncle Tom, see, people need to really know Uncle Tom. That is a term of endearment. If people just really knew who Uncle Tom really was.
But the way it's meant,
The way it's
portrayed, or
I grew
The
up. It
thing
wasn't a compliment.
no,
People still don't take it as a compliment because they
Yeah.
don't know. Ignorance. People perish by what? The lack of knowledge. That's what the good book said.
Got
And
it.
I believe in the good book. So what people have a problem with is finding somebody like myself who's still true to the culture, still true to the roots. I still go back to the hood. So when you find those type of people that's embracing
it's a threat
being a conservative,
Right.
that's when everything changed because
you don't fit the
you don't-
norm.
you don't fit
Well,
the description.
It's confusing. And I bet you she
Makes you-
probably was confusing too, because they're like, oh, well, you don't fit into this mold.
She
that we're
don't. She
expecting
don't look
from
like the
you.
Condoleezza Rice. She don't look like Candace Owens. She
Right.
don't look. She came out Sister Soldier. She talked like me. She grew up.
And we
you know?
talked hip hop on
Yeah,
the
so
show.
it's
I mean,
like
we
she's-
talked everything imaginable.
Look, I think we're having a whole new generation of kids coming up.
And that's what
that
people
are
don't understand.
Not listening to what television, the internet, anything's telling them what to do, and they're coming up with their own decisions. And it's probably cool that way,
But hell, you look at Trump.
right?
Trump is not Ronald Reagan. He's
Nope.
not Eisenhower.
Nope.
He's not none of them. He's
and that's why
Trump.
and that's
He's his
why
own man.
people
matter
like
of fact,
him.
man. Trump belongs on Death Row Records.
I think he's
that
been on
would
a
be-
couple of
so-
the records.
Yeah. That's what's funny. And Wu Tang.
20 years ago.
He was on the cover of Wu Tang.
What do you mean?
No,
Hold on.
Yes, he was.
Well, I know he was
he
on.
was Trump on cover of Wu Tang?
No, but
Yes.
what?
And I
He was on the cover of Wu Tang. They might have.
but I mean, how
rapped
many,
about
how
him,
many,
but-
how many of the hip hop records did we grow up listening to? Where
Listen,
Donald Trump was
listen,
calling in
listen,
a shout out.
Exactly. Listen, Donald Trump and Trump Jr. used to go to Shade 45 and hang out with 50 Cent
Right.
and G Unit and cut promos. And
Isn't
Donald
50
Trump used
Cent
to.
like a known Republican? Or
He's
is-
not a known Republican,
but it's a
he's
closeted Republican.
Well, I think I can't obviously speak for. I think 50 definitely has conservative principles.
yeah.
And Larry can test this.
A lot of people generally do.
I heard from a really, really good source, and I'm sure Larry knows as well. He was going to be at the Republican convention. Someone really high up got in his ear and said, no, that's not a good idea. And 50's big thing is always, I don't get too political because no matter what I say, I'm going to piss off 50%
Michael
of my
Jordan.
fan base.
I'm selling sneakers to everybody.
Now, do you think, and I love 50, and 50 doesn't have a problem getting at anyone, but do you agree with that? Because aren't you kind of maybe compromising who you are when you don't want to speak out for business reasons? Or do you just say, okay, he's let it be known, he's a business guy, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, and I'm not going to take a side.
Look,
how would you?
For my business, we hang political signs up in front of our office. So, these last elections, we've had Byron signs in front, we've had Trump signs in front. Now, again, we're in Southwest Florida, so I don't know how controversial it is.
You can get away with,
to do those types of things.
You can't do that in Brooklyn, New York, or even.
But you can do a Black Lives Matter sign in Brooklyn. You can do your I'm in favor of Ukraine poster in Ukraine. You can do whatever. The trick is, I know people, they have Kamala stickers on their car in Cape Coral.
You saw very few,
but I've seen them. And they don't have to worry about their car getting messed with. They don't have to worry about somebody throwing rocks at them.
Yeah, but you say that's not fair either, because you have people who are angry on both sides. You're more likely maybe to be targeted. And it's funny because I didn't see many.
The same thing that happened with the Jewish last year. You know how the Jews was really attacked and their garages and everything else. Mm-hmm. But listen, we even get a chance to introduce you. We don't know who you are.
We are. Before we do, shout out to Suge Knight himself. Tim G is in the building.
What's up, Suge?
We were just talking about the backstory of the cover. A lot of good feedback on that one, Tim. I think we got something. But go ahead and introduce our guests.
We're going to introduce the guests and from also some of our sponsors. First of all, we're going to talk about one of our sponsors and our guests here, Mr. Martin, Steve Martin, with his law firm in all of Southwest Florida. Patrick like to say
and Tampa. Don't forget the Tampa office, right?
Here and there, St. Petersburg.
Yeah. Man, listen, he's moving on up, man.
All over the state.
You trying to be like Morgan and Morgan?
I was just going to say.
No, I'm not.
Morgan and Morgan are law firms here. You're everywhere, of divorce firms.
Dan Newland or somebody.
There you go.
Dan, that's a guy there. But yeah, it's a pleasure to have one of our guests and also one of our sponsors here with us today. And we're going to get into that. Tina Della Rosa Insurance and Taxes.
Shout out to Tina. Just did a little. So did you see the little video I did for Tina?
I saw that.
What'd you think?
Man, you're creative, man. That's your thing.
Thank you.
You're pretty good. You know, you ain't good at too many things, but you're pretty good at that.
I make that very clear. There's a couple things I'm good at, and
getting on my nerve is one of them.
That's one, and I think we balance each other out with that one.
Yeah, yin and the yang.
Yin and the yang, But shout out to tax season. Go see Tina. She's got 2 offices now. And she does my taxes, my insurance, and I live in Naples.
Got insurance low.
Yeah, definitely
one of the best
insurance rates, and
she's gonna save you some money. One time for all those diners, they got a meal named after me, the Larry Love Special, country fried steak, 2 sides. You pick your sides. We
love ours on Alda's. Tim, what's your favorite thing at Alda's Diner? Because Tim goes there a lot as well. What's your go-to? Okay.
Father Orsi.
What's on the Father Orsi? 2 eggs, medium, bacon. Okay. Good. Okay.
You ain't get the Larry Love Special?
I got the Larry Love Special. That's how you know mashed potatoes.
Is that the Larry Special?
Yeah, it's the Larry.
Oh man, that's
Larry's plate. Really good, actually. Country fried steak was cooked perfect.
Yeah.
And they have the Byron's Country, Commissioner McDaniel, Hudson Patty Melt. They have a ton of stuff on there. Yeah. So we love
Aldo's. Sounds good. Now I'm hungry.
Yeah. Well, next time we should meet for breakfast or lunch.
There we go.
At Aldo's. Becker Custom Builders, of course, the studio was helped put together by Becker Custom Builders. Shout out to Blake, who's going to be gracing the cover of Naples City Lifestyle magazine. We're going to be going to that party on Tuesday and then doing the after podcast here at Studio 239. So we're excited about that. We also want to shout out Lee Corp Homes.
Lee Corp's
largest producer of manufactured homes in all of Florida since 1973, I want to say. Of course, Petra, Design Your Closet, DTA Naples. She does a tremendous job. And I am forgetting our newest sponsor, TC Clinics, Jeff Delaney. Got my blood results back.
Jeff Delaney.
So what do they do for their blood tests?
What do they do for their blood tests?
Yeah, do they do like the whole panel, checking out your vitamins, things like that?
Everything, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I just did it last week, and I got the results are in, so I'm going to go see them tomorrow.
TC Clinics?
TC Clinics USA.
Okay,
yeah.
Nice.
It's got a couple, I know Blake goes there, Patrick Dibber, a couple other people I won't disclose, but definitely work for them in terms of energy and also weight loss as well too. He's got Naviva Weight Loss Clinic, which is also a sponsor.
Okay.
And he's in Naples, Fort Myers. So big shout out to Jeff Delaney.
Eric.
And of course, Salons Energy, Eric, Anita Carter, over 30 years experience styling hair, 11 stylists. So big shout out to them. And then I'm going to let you introduce our sponsor, Mr. Martin.
One time for my main man, Steve Martin. We've been buddies for a while. And, He's a pretty sharp and smart attorney, you know, and got a pretty nice wife. I think she's way smarter than him. And
Well, that's
what-
smart, right?
Yeah, you're supposed to marry up.
Yeah.
You don't marry down.
I tried to get her to come out here today. She needs the invite. You're gonna have to shoot her a text.
And I'm going to do it in Russian.
Good luck.
I'm going to do it in Russian. I'm practicing learning that Slavic tongue.
Yeah,
There you go.
So once I get it down pat,
Should hear Larry trying to speak Czech. I had to.
see, I've been trying to speak Czech.
Because you got to
too.
pronounce it.
How's it
as-
going? Say something. What do you got?
Say something in Czech.
I don't like to make myself look foolish, so I'm going to wait. I'm
All
going to
right.
wait because I'm getting there now. I'm getting there. So it's coming.
It's funny. I know more Russian than I thought I did. Like
I bet you do.
I'm starting to hear people talk. I'm like, I don't know what they were saying.
Do you know just the bad words? And when
I know a
you're-
lot of the bad
yeah.
words.
Oh, that's the first thing anybody learns.
There's
Especially
a
if
trainer
you're
at
a
our
wife.
gym, and she's Russian, and so every once in a while I try to throw out some Russian profanity, and she's not taking it.
No.
Yeah.
She doesn't think it's funny.
But as Larry would like to ask, or go ahead and ask the question, who is?
Always.
Give me a question. What do you got?
No, who is?
Who are you?
Who am I? Well, I'm an attorney
is
in
Steve
Southwest
Mark?
Florida. I'm a
You're not-
father of 4 children.
I know
I'm
other
married
attorneys.
to my wife Eviana.
I
And
know.
we do all types of cool stuff.
What cool stuff do you do at the Martin Law Firm?
Well, okay, so we're a consumer law.
Is divorce considered cool?
I
guess
think we
it
talked
can-
about divorce
I-
last time I was
we
here.
did. I want to. We'll get it.
And I think
But you do other stuff besides.
I do
divorce.
other stuff, but divorce is kind of one of those things that everybody at least considers because everybody's got a family.
Okay.
And, one way or another, you're either going to contemplate family law or you're going to endure family law. So I think it's one of those things because all of us have a girlfriend, wife, boyfriend, whatever. That's something that touches everybody. The family law system in
Yeah.
Florida. So although it's one of the things we do,
Yeah, what
sometimes
else?
it's the most interesting.
Sure. What
Yeah.
percentage of your firm does business wise would you say divorce?
It's really
in an
hard to
overall
break down.
picture?
But one of my partners, Dustin Butler, he's kind of like our divorce guru.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of like the guy that really is the expert in divorce and family law in our office. I just kind of take what he tells me and use that as gospel.
One time for Dustin,
There you go.
you know.
And
I had to send my neighbor to go see Dustin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did that go?
It went well.
Yeah. Happy divorce.
Yeah, the husband didn't like me. But I didn't care. Both of
Okay.
them were cool with me, but I like, man, she the one that asked me for a divorce.
Does anyone ever win in a divorce?
Yeah, the attorneys win in the
Yeah,
divorce.
That's
there
it.
you go.
And that's what
Well
I
said.
always tell anybody before
Yeah,
you.
the only people that win.
The only look. I've said that. I say this again and again and again. I said it last time. I'm like the anti-divorce divorce attorney. If you can figure out a way to make it work, you got to make it work. Some people can't. But
Yeah.
that's how it goes. So does anybody win in divorce?
Is there
Yeah, of course.
anyone? Have you ever had a client where after the divorce is over said, "Wow, I'm happy."
Like
Turned
have-
out like
Yeah, I
better than, because that's very hard to do. It's almost an oxymoron. But I imagine there could be a case where someone said, "Wow, this went smoother and better than I thought." Because usually not, because both sides always think they're right and they want to
look,
win.
what I would
right?
tell you is if you see the car coming down the road and it looks like it's going to hit you and then it doesn't, for about 10 seconds, you're like, all right, I just didn't hit by that car. And then you move on with your day.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably our good divorce cases where somebody sees that car coming to get them and they don't get hit. For a fleeting couple of seconds, they're thinking, I just dodged a car that's about to kill me.
Yeah.
And then they go on with their day. The people that remember their divorce, those are the ones that get hit by the car.
Mm.
So, and sometimes people really do get hit by a car in a divorce.
I kind of feel like a temptation right now.
How so?
I know you want to leave me, but I refuse to let you go. If I have to beg you, please, for your sympathy. What?
Tim's face. Tim.
Hey, sure. I mean, they talking about divorce, so I'm like, man, temptation say,
Yeah.
I know
Get
you want
this
to
man
leave
a
me,
record.
man.
Suge, sign this man to Death
Put me
Row
on-
Records.
Put me on Death
Need
Row
an
Records.
R&B
then.
singer on Death Row Records.
Yes, it has been.
I said we need one on
Oh,
Death Row
okay,
Records.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna say-
I know the Danny Boy and Joel.
I don't know neither one of them.
You just said there has been. I
Yeah,
just
I know,
just
like,
gave you
Michelle
names.
A.
Michelle A, Joel, Danny Boy.
I don't know what
You want
So
to
you
bet?
guys starting a record label now too?
No, man. We're gonna leave that for you.
Anything.
We're gonna leave that for
All
you. We're gonna let you do that.
Yeah, can you represent us?
Of course, absolutely.
Make sure all the paperwork
welcome
is
to
good.
Studio.
Absolutely.
Welcome to Studio 239. If you want to be a part of a team where a person over here dancing and want to take a part on your time,
Yeah, you know
come
what?
to Studio 239.
Yeah, in all seriousness, here at Studio 239, you don't have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all up in the videos, smiling, dancing. Come to Studio 239. That's an old. That's actually true story.
The BET Awards.
No, it was the Source Awards.
The Source Awards in New York. One of them.
So, truth, this is 100%. That's how the East Coast West Coast beef basically started. So, Suge went up on stage in Madison Square Garden.
Right.
As you can imagine, all New Yorkers, basically minus the 30 people Death Row brought, and said, if you don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all up in your videos, dancing, smiling, referring to P. Diddy, Puffy, whatever you want to call him, Baby Oil.
I remember this.
And come to Death Row. And
Yeah.
New York took that as an insult as a whole. Who is this guy from the West Coast coming up on stage and dissing? Bad Boy was the biggest record label crew in New York at the time. And I watched a documentary on this, and you had people from Wu-Tang and Nas, and they said there was so much tension in the crowd at that point.
Right.
It was just ready to.
No, I remember when this was all going down.
That really set off the whole East Coast West Coast beef, and then Puffy was on Drink Champs, like 5-6 years ago while Suge was locked up, and said he confronted Suge that night. They were all at the Tunnel in New York, and I don't believe this from Puffy. And said, what's up, Playboy? You got a problem? And Suge told him, he said, no, I was talking about Jermaine Dupri. I wasn't talking about you.
I could believe it. You're on another man's turf.
That's possible. Just let the cool.
Because
you're outnumbered.
I heard the story with Nas and Pac, too.
Mm-hmm.
And Nas pretty much ran down on Pac. But he was
Pac
like.
didn't back down, though, from what.
He was like, man.
But he was outnumbered.
I'm going to let you make it. Say Nas told him, like, I'm just going to let you make it, man. You don't really want these problems. Like, he was a real cool, like, dude, you don't even know where you at. You ain't, because he was in New York.
At the park. It was
yeah.
like Central Park, and Nas brought all Queensbridge. Yeah.
And so he was like, I'm not going to take this brother life.
So one more time, because I don't know, Tim was in the process of switching with D. If you want to come to a real podcast studio and you don't want to have to worry about the executive producers all up in the videos, smiling, dancing, come to Studio 239 where your story starts here. But enough hip-hop, because I could talk hip-hop all day. We don't want to do that. Yeah. Steve, we want to talk about you. And so besides divorce law, what else does the firm practice?
We do a lot of car crash law, personal injury. So, me
and Larry have experience in that.
Don't
field.
put Larry in this.
So what'd you do? Did you get hit or you hit somebody?
Well, I totaled. Well, the Bentley got totaled.
What had happened was
July 19th. I'm on 75, minding my business.
Right.
Somebody driving a truck didn't have whatever tied down, and man, something looking like a casket or a refrigerator came off the people's truck, and I'm doing about 75.
That's a big difference there. You realize that a casket or a refrigerator. I hope no one's driving with a casket.
I'm saying about that size.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, so
a body didn't fall on you.
And
it fell on you?
Nah, it came off. I hit it, and they told me I had like $48,000 worth of damage.
Right.
No, $48,000 worth of parts that's needed to fix it. Then it was gonna be another like $18,000 to fix it, and then
did you catch the guy whose truck it fell off of?
Nah.
So look, I mean, that's a lot of people don't like car accident attorneys. The Morgan & Morgan, Dan Newland, me. People that do that because you look at it from the perspective of what if I'm the one who's getting sued, right? And people always look at it in that perspective. But I would flip it and look at it from your perspective. You're the guy that had a nice car that got destroyed by somebody that wasn't operating their truck safely, and there are different philosophies on how this works. Right. And the way I look at personal injury law, or the way I look at a lot of things is, and it almost goes down to like a fundamental political philosophy. We've got rules for everything. And there's some people that follow rules. Everybody likes following the rules, right?
Nope.
No, nobody does. Okay. So you can have the philosophy of we need rules for everything to keep people straight with everything, right? No. The better thing to do it is have consequences and responsibility. So if you're operating that truck unsafely and you cause a refrigerator to come off and smash into Larry's car, there are 1,000 rules that prevent that from happening. But if they're running that truck and that refrigerator falls off that truck and damages your car, then you go sue them. And what's the end result of a lawsuit, other than a bunch of hassle of dealing with the lawsuit, is you will lose money. And losing money, that's a penalty that gets people to sit up straight, pay attention, and try to correct their behavior, right? So that's how I look at it with any type of tort attorney. Like what I do is we're influencing behavior to accept more responsibility for yourself, okay? And so the idea is I've got 1,000 rules that you can follow, or I can understand that people's incentives to try to act right is influenced by their desire to avoid negative financial consequences. And that's why our system works so good. You know, the American legal system is amazing. And when I was growing up, I feel like a lot of attorneys probably were a little bit too extra with their lawsuits and everything else. And it kind of the pendulum of influence and power shifted out of control. But I think now we're shifting to a point where it's nice to have an attorney there to advocate for you, to, first of all, make sure that you're compensated for your vehicle, and also influence society to act more responsibly. Because we live in Florida. We live in Southwest Florida.
Man, them insurance
conservative
company tried to take me for a ride.
Well, insurance company's a whole other discussion.
Yeah. So,
and what do they do to you?
Oh, I came up. Nah, of course, I wasn't gonna let them slide. You know, so I had to hire me an adjuster and all that other stuff. And
yeah,
you know, they should have just gave me what I asked for in the first place, instead of making me spend money.
There's a policy argument to be made. Should insurance companies be for-profit businesses, or should insurance companies be nonprofits that their whole reason for existence isn't to profitably make money, but it's to provide a service to the community? And this is a policy argument. And I could argue it both ways, because it's a really narrow issue.
Nonprofit.
But historically, insurance, goes back to, I think it was Lloyd's of London. Or if I look back even further, it may have started in Holland, where you would have guys that would pull together and you would pool your risk. So when one ship sank out in the middle of the Atlantic, it sucks, but it's not that big of a deal. And you still wouldn't be just totally wiped out by having that one ship lost. And so now, centuries later, we have the same business model. Right. But we have that same business model in Florida, where you have the insurance for, your car, but now it's a profitable business. And so now the insurance company's incentive rather is not to protect you as it's insured as a fiduciary. The financial incentive is they got to turn a profit, which means if they pay out all of these claims, that's not so good for business. And so you see the tension.
Now, right, I got my own argument on this.
Okay.
But I'm going to save it for later date. Late.
Then why even say it?
Because while he's here, I want his opinion.
Okay.
Is that okay?
That's fine.
Property taxes. Disposing of property taxes.
Are you reading my Twitter?
No, I don't have Twitter.
Okay.
Steve, it's only the biggest topic in the state of Florida right now.
I said it's...
Well, I got my property tax bill last year. I'm looking, I'm like, well, this is awfully high. And then I got it this year. And I'm like, this is really awfully high.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my friend Jonathan Martin, who's our state senator.
Shout out to Jonathan Martin.
And John's put down a bill, I think, to abolish property taxes. Am I correct?
It's very similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I may be misstating it, but the intention, I believe, is to
eventually get rid of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's good. So the problem is, how are we going to go pay for all our stuff, though?
Okay.
So,
it's find tax revenue elsewhere, right?
Well, you're going to find other tax revenue to pay for fire, police, trash, schools.
I'm sure there's other ways.
What, sale tax to the roof? You're thinking like a Democrat.
I'm playing devil's advocate. And
you're thinking like a Democrat.
I'm looking at it and I see my
taxes.
Can
you cut property taxes?
Now, that's possible.
Yeah.
That's possible.
Blaze in goal. I'm never saying his name right, but Blaze. Damn.
Yeah, no, you're talking.
I'm horrible, but he's one of our state senators, I believe, or state reps. But anyway, he's been pitching something to get rid of it too, or at least increase the homestead exemption to $75,000.
Well, not to cut you off, Steve. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. So Governor DeSantis is kind of saying that he wants to do that, and Congressman Donald said if he becomes governor, he would like to look into eliminate. Am I correct?
Yeah, they both said that.
Okay. So is that pitching a pipe dream?
Because one is a governor and one is a rep. Do that make them right?
No, one's a governor and one's a congressman who might be the next
that's
governor.
That's what I said. One is a governor
no, I'm
right
asking,
now, and one is a rep.
Are they selling a pipe dream?
It's not bad. A person can do whatever they want to do. But in reality, the way I look at it, like Mr. Martin just said, almost like Bernie Sanders, how is everything else going to get paid for? Answer that.
I think you need that tension of reducing the property taxes with also the reality that you have to pay for government services. You know, so for example, we also had Lee Memorial Hospital up in Lee County that just went from being part of our local government, being a special district, to now it's a nonprofit. And part of the reason for that was rep to me was, if we make this hospital change from a special taxing district to a nonprofit, we don't potentially have to look to the local community to raise taxes to pay for the special hospital district, right? Although funny enough, I think the hospital had like 500 million or $1 billion in cash, or so I think they're doing fine.
Yeah. Well, and two, I mean, how much of that property tax money is being wasted? I mean, shouldn't you basically, if you're managing money correctly, you can find a surplus? So
we got a big surplus.
That's a good
in Florida.
question to ask.
Florida got a big surplus, so it's.
I mean, we're well governed.
Yeah, we got money here.
So, and I think that's why we can have these conversations, because I would say that for the most part, the people that are in government in this state are actually doing a good job. So we don't have these crazy expenses. But you're right. There's probably fat to be cut, because I'm feeling this tax bill today, and I was feeling it last year too. But a lot of those people in budgets were set 5 years ago when revenue was at a different number. So I'm just speculating, but I would speculate that there probably is some money that can be shaved off of these things.
But we all know what goes up usually does not go down.
But not in a conservative Southwest Florida. I think it will come down. And this is where you don't think so?
Tell me one thing back then went up and it came down.
We got people our age now coming into office, and they're looking at it with fresh eyes. But maybe they're the ones that make it come down. Look at Doge. Look at what those guys are doing.
Well, they're
cutting.
They're cutting wasteful spending. They're not bringing anything down.
And maybe that story's still being told.
And some of that wasteful spending got my eyebrow.
Like, do you think food prices will ever be back to where they were?
Eggs will not be on $1 again.
So
they will not be 79 cents a dozen again. When I used to go in as a child and
milk
buy
will
eggs.
be $2.69 a gallon. You ever see stuff like that going back down? Oil fluctuates. Now you'll never have 89 cents.
Well, I've got a battery car, so I don't know.
I saw. Speaking of that, Steve, that Cybertruck. I mean, that can't be comfortable. Number one,
I just got it on Friday. And prior to that, I had the Tesla Model Y Performance, the super duper quick one.
He's helping your stocks, Tim. He buys Tesla.
So the Tesla Model Y I had was probably the best car I've ever had. And my dad had a Tesla S, and he told me that was the best car he ever had. And my brother had a Tesla S too, and I think he was saying that's the best car he's ever had. And my dad's had like anything you'd ever think of, from Chevy Nova to Rolls-Royce Ghost. And he thought the Tesla was the best way of going. And for me, it was pretty damn good too. But it was getting old, and it was off warranty, and Tesla was running a special on the Cybertrucks, and I saw it. I was like, I better just go get this.
Do you think it looks good from an aesthetic standpoint?
I don't care what it looks like. It's cool.
So it's cool. Okay,
I'm married with 4 kids. Who cares what my car looks like? I'm not really relevant in that world.
Well, then buy a minivan if that's the case. But you can't tell me from an aesthetic standpoint that the Cybertruck.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. My wife is married to me. I mean, obviously, people can like ugly things.
You're a handsome guy, man. You're a handsome guy.
Yeah, looking like Trey Radel. We talked about that last year, which is a compliment, by the way.
Poor Trey's like, you guys are assholes.
Let me ask you something.
No, Trey's a friend of the show.
With all them, like, the Teslas and everything.
Yeah.
I always be watching, like, the mad scientists when I used to be watching cartoons and stuff.
Right.
So you never think somebody could just get a switch and turn the switch up or turn the switch down and just lock the cars in and they could just drive it
I
themselves.
saw your fancy car out in the parking lot. What do you think? Somebody can't do that to yours too?
Hey, man, I'm talking about your vehicle.
I'm just saying the problem you have with mine potentially is the same you would have with yours.
No.
Just saying.
No.
Anyway, so mine's got the full self-driving on it, so you just click a little button and it'll drive you all over the place.
Yeah,
So
I had that on my Forte though, that it could drive it.
Forte?
Yeah. No, I had the GT, and you could press a button. I mean, I
Man,
wouldn't
you would ride around in the Forte?
Yeah, the blue one. Remember?
What the, man, I can't remember. I don't know what that was. You were driving.
Yeah, but on the it would.
I like the car.
You know,
it's cool, and does it look beautiful? I mean, it's
I
just
know a
whatever
couple
you
people
like.
got them, but it's just
Yeah.
that's not my
But
style.
we're in Naples. Yeah, of course, there are going to be a couple of people that got them.
or at least get a different color on it. Or
Well, I'm
just
thinking
Man, I
getting
just seen some with some different colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would get it. So my wife
Get
wanted
like
to
a-
get one too. She's like, we can get 2 cyber trucks.
We could get 2 cyber trucks.
And she's like, I'm going to put the Russian flag right on the back.
Yeah,
And
that
I'm
will
like,
go
I don't know
over
if that's
well
going to work.
in Southwest Florida. Yeah,
But she wants to get hers wrapped, and she's not getting one now because the deal's over. But she wanted to
get
get
a
it wrapped.
Putin mural on it.
Yeah,
and drive around. Well, why not? Speaking of which, I know you want to talk about Russia, Ukraine. So
Oh, I just offered if you guys want to talk about it.
Give us
you
your
know.
take.
yeah.
What's your wife think?
I can give you my take, and I can let you know what I think she thinks. I mean, look, I think it's like Trump says.
You know,
It's-
y'all
it'd be-
pillow talk.
It'd be nice if the war would end. And, look, I know a lot of people have very strong feelings about it, but
Yep.
if you don't have the background and the knowledge of what's going on over there, your opinion is based on
and most people don't. They don't really know the whole backstory and how.
But, you got to look at it from the perspective of the Ukrainians. They've got a strong perspective. Their country has been invaded. And then you have to look at it from the Russian perspective, which is they had what they believed was a reason for doing it. So, and I like the Trump
What's the
perspective.
reason?
So what I've been told the operating theory is essentially that when you had the NATO expansion that started. When did it start? Now there are gaps in my knowledge. But let's start in 2014.
Obama. It was
I think it was Bush won, and I
Bush,
forget
okay.
when Poland and some of the more the more Warsaw Pact countries got ascended into NATO.
Yep.
So I think it was Poland, the Baltics. The Baltics I think were 2003. But from the Russian perspective, that's NATO. And the entire point of NATO when we founded it was to protect us against the Soviet Union.
right.
And it was a great idea because, here we've got this, nuclear adversary that definitely is not our friend.
Yep.
We need to have our own military alliance. And that's the whole point of NATO. At least that's what was sold to me. I mean, what am I? Just a lawyer in Cape Coral, Florida. But what I've understood is that's the intention was NATO was to protect us against the Soviet Union. Then once the Union collapsed, and then it's just Russia and all the satellite states spread out, what do we really need it for anyway? Except, it's a great alliance. It's a great way for us to place a lot of our hardware and equipment. It's actually good for American business. But when we keep growing and adding countries to it, that's a sensitive issue for Russia.
I was just going to look at it from Russia's standpoint. What if China made a deal with Mexico and they wanted to put missiles on the border?
Bomb the shit out of them.
Do you think the U.S. would have a problem
We had a huge problem.
with China doing that?
You know we would.
So
Yeah,
you
and-
got to look at it from both perspectives.
But I think
wouldn't you
that's-
feel threatened?
Well, and so
It touched us.
Yeah.
and here's what
That's
a lot
why
of
we
people
was at Cuba neck.
right. Yeah.
That's why we was like, hey,
And-
Cuba.
And so from the Russian perspective, because I've studied a little bit of Russian history, not a lot, but a little bit, but you have to understand, and invasions into Russia, I think are like every 100, 120 years from Europe. And the Europeans historically have gone into Russia, and you have Napoleon. Prior to that, I don't exactly remember, but okay, we'll just start with Napoleon. You have Germany in World War I. Then you have Germany in
Hitler,
World War II. And Hitler's objective was to wipe out all the Russians.
After he supposedly made a deal with Stalin to work together, and then he crossed them and
yeah, and
invaded.
a lot of people don't know this, but Putin's sister starved to death in St. Petersburg during that whole siege. So think about it. This guy who is currently a world leader, whether you like him or not, his older sister starved to death because of an invasion in his country. And I believe the statistic is like 1 in 4 or 1 in 10 of all Russian men or Russians were killed in that war. So imagine if like 1 out of 8 members of your family or friends were killed because of a bunch of people that came in and tried to kill all of you.
You'd-
And then you win the war and kick
You'd
their
have a
ass.
little animosity and little, or not animosity, but you'd be very careful and
I would say it's a sensitivity to
Yeah.
being invaded, whether it's a well-founded sensitivity, because there's no way we're going to invade Russia, you know. But
I think
nevertheless, I still think
no one's going to invade the U.S. No one's going to invade everything now. I think would be by air and cyber related.
But
You
when
think there'd
we're
be foot-
basing missiles and troops right there, like in Ukraine,
I can't say that.
I don't.
I hope we never wouldn't, because why would we? And then you know, so that's the paranoia part from Russia. As why did Russia invade in 2022? Is because we were making it seem that Ukraine was going to be part of NATO, and I think at that point Russia's like, guys, this is just too much.
Well-
and it's like you have siblings, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when somebody just keeps
poking you.
fucking with you, you know, doing that shit, eventually you're just going to throw a punch.
And correct me if I'm
What
wrong.
do we do?
U.S. meddled in that Ukrainian election. Would have been like 2014, 2012. And
I think
helped-
that's what was,
and that's what
said.
kind of started off the whole, you know, Ukraine, Russia, USA, you know, that, and it kind of payback was 2016. They did some stuff in our elections that, you know, released.
I don't know. I don't think they did anything in our elections.
Oh,
I
I
mean, like
think
the first Trump campaign, I think that was, you know,
I'm not talking about the actual poll numbers, but releasing information and stuff. I think that was absolutely proven that a lot of that
well,
stuff came.
if that
and
happened,
that was a payback because the U.S.
well, we both
What?
screw with each other. You know,
Sure.
that's just our, you know, it's
But you
like East
can't-
Coast, West Coast.
But
You just-
that's why you can't, you know, argue one side. You know, now not saying, you know,
I mean, I think our policy of expanding NATO probably in historical terms will have been determined to have probably not been the wisest move, because, you know, everybody's like, well, we need to counter Russia. And from my perspective, what I have to think of as Russia is like, well, you know, first of all, you know, there's a lot of hate towards Russians, you know, and, you know, my wife feels that. And I have 4 half Russian daughters that have very ethnic Russian names. I don't know how they feel about that. But, you know, there is.
has
you know,
has that been more since the whole Ukraine Russia conflict
Russians
began, or has
right
that
now
just
are-
been in general?
If you think about it, Russians are the only
'Cause-
people that are allowed to be bad guys in movies and on TV shows or anything
Yeah.
else. You know what I mean? Like when we were growing up.
But you
we
know
were
what's
the bad
funny?
guys.
I remember the 2012 debate where Mitt Romney was saying that Russia was a threat, and Obama came out and said, "Russia, this isn't the 80s. Russia is no longer a threat, and stop, you know, making them into the villain." So it's funny how tables have kind of.
I mean, arguably,
turn.
I think Obama was right, because it's kind of like, if you think
Yeah.
about it, Russia at
Right.
that time was a regional power,
Right.
and, you know, a reasonably strong one. But I don't think Russia has historically been a colonial power or an expansionist power. And somebody, I forget who it was, maybe it was somebody in the EU, was making, you know, their point, and they're saying, well, you know, if we let Ukraine, you know, if we let Putin get away with whatever he's done in Ukraine,
He's
his
gonna-
next step is Poland.
Well, that's what
Check,
they're doing,
blah,
the
blah, blah.
Hitler analogy.
And you know, everything's Hitler. But if you think about it, like
Putin
Russia
doesn't have the man. It's not the USSR where you have such a strong and large military. It's not the, you know, 1930s or 40s.
Well, I would even
Russia's
look at it-
military's.
I would look at it differently from another perspective, because I think you're right. But I would also say an added reason is, why would they? Russia already has more land than any country in the world.
Yeah, it takes 100 and what?
And there's a reason
almost-
why they want Ukraine. I mean, it's very strategic. I mean, whether you say from it's a mineral standpoint, from the oil pipeline
I
standpoint.
think they just want a buffer. I just don't think they want somebody
and
right next door.
Right
to
next
them that's
door. Yeah,
antagonistic.
I don't think Putin has eyes on Poland and the Czech
But
Republic.
why would he?
Why would he?
What do
at
you
this
gain?
point?
Like,
Yeah.
okay, so you know,
And
you think about it, government expansion. Like, what does a nation gain by having, you know, sovereignty over more land? Maybe more tax revenue, I guess. But you
Which
know,
not needed.
so why does Putin want Poland? Why does Putin want the Baltics to reconstitute the Soviet Empire?
That's not going to happen.
Like,
Well, they quote him. One of the things he did say, one of the failures of the 20th century was letting the USSR fall. So they're saying, oh, he wants to build another USSR.
and I understand that perspective, because you think about it, a lot of these countries that were components of the USSR had pretty good economies, relatively speaking. I mean, it was all kind of, you know, not awesome.
It was different.
But, you know, now when they're all independent of that union, you know, you have to actually measure, are they truly better or not? Some of them definitely are truly better. Some of them are just not, you know, better or worse. And some of them are worse. So his point is not a wrong one, but you also have to look at, the guy's a Russian he's the leader.
KGB. Yeah.
No, I was going to say like Donald Trump is an American patriot,
Yeah.
right? He really cares deeply about America. I would say Putin's probably a Russian patriot.
Well, I was talking about with Drew. We had a long conversation, and it was talking about like Trump is he he's an imperfect human being, he's flawed, that whatever. But at the end of the day, I don't think really anyone could argue he really is going to do what he believes best is for the United States and
Yes.
the people.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, what does your wife think of Putin?
So I
being a
think she's
Russian?
got the Russian perspective,
Yep.
and I think he's much more popular there than a lot of people think over here. Like everybody says, "Oh, Putin's a gangster," blah blah blah. Well, everybody tells me Donald Trump's a gangster too, so I'm kind of
I'm going to get
define
into
gangster then.
well, I'm getting in trouble for this, but really, politics, that's the biggest gangsters of them all are politicians at the end of the day. So
If I'm not mistaken, in Russia, like the U.S., president only supposed to be able to serve 2 terms, right?
Yeah, I think they hacked their
Well,
constitution.
How in the hell do Putin stay?
yeah, that I guess that would be a problem. Well, he stepped down and he was the prime minister, right?
I've never
And
read
he
their constitution. I
I
believe
think he rewrote.
I think it's exactly what you said, is that he can only be 2 consecutive terms.
Right.
And so
There was
ours
a
is you
great-
can only have 2 terms.
Yeah.
And their constitution says no more than 2 consecutive terms. So you see the distinction. And
It's
so
like
then
governor. A governor, you can only have 2 consecutive terms, but then
you
if you take
get
it
out of
for-
office and do it
you
again.
you can run
I didn't
again.
know that.
Yeah.
But so then they put in Medvedev, and then Putin's back in. But I think he's
He's there for life.
so.
I
To
mean,
answer your
right?
question, does my wife like him? I don't think she doesn't dislike him. And here's the other thing: is everybody says, "Oh, we need to get rid of Putin." Okay, so who are you going to put in his spot? You might get some crazy. I always talk about or think about this with China. Like, what if the Chinese Adolf Hitler is born 20 years ago and he's just ready to come to power,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have 1.2 billion Chinese that want to go take over the world?
Do they though?
No, I don't think so, because I
Yeah.
don't think China's ever been a colonial or expansionist power. But going back to Russia and Putin, if you replace Putin, sometimes the devil is better than the next one down the street. You get some crazy like ultra nationalist, and I'm not going to say this guy's crazy, but let's say you get like a Zhirinovsky or somebody that is a super Russian nationalist. That could be really dangerous. And then you might actually get somebody that's stupid enough to think that they want to expand the borders of Russia, which would be a dumb idea.
Yeah. Larry, who are you texting?
Robert.
Okay.
Like, I'm talking with this crazy guy that's saying that Putin's not the
He's
devil.
recording you, I think, and I guess we are being recorded.
We are being
that,
recorded.
That one.
But it's interesting because, again, remember, my wife is half Russian and she's half Ukrainian. So she has family in Ukraine right now. And we've been dealing with this war since 2014.
Right.
So none of this is new to me. I mean,
What'd you think of the whole Zelensky coming to the White House spectacle?
Look,
whatever
I'm
you
not a
wanna-
fan of Zelensky. I feel like he's overplaying his hand. It's exactly what Trump was trying to say. He's like, look, your card, you don't have the cards.
And it is a card game, a chess game right now. I don't care what you want
Well,
to say.
and-
so.
I don't think it's a chess game.
It's a checkers game.
Well, for Trump's.
And look, think about it this way, and I hope the Trump people remember this, but Zelensky, from his perspective, very well may be that he believes I got Trump impeached the first time, because you're
The
not going to
Russian
tell me he didn't
collusion?
have anything to do with that.
Zelensky
Yeah.
with the Russian collusion.
Not with the collusion thing, but you remember the phone call that was made in 2019 where Trump was saying,
yeah,
"Hey,
yeah,
you need to go
yeah.
look and see what these Biden boys are doing." And so they had that the one guy on the NSA or the NSC who was listening in, and then he didn't narc on the whole thing.
yeah,
He
yeah.
set them all up. So Zelensky's perspective, I think, might very well be that I got you impeached the first time. And so guess what I'm going to do the second time, Mr. President? And so he's either going to go to the EU and try to pressure Trump, but he feels that he already got him impeached once. And so I don't think he's going to back down.
Well, here's the
I
difference.
know he's not going to back down. 'Cause I watched him in that.
Here's the difference, though. Doesn't have the Democrat majority to impeach Trump.
He don't.
No.
But that dude
true.
right there, he's a special breed.
How do you
Zelensky.
mean?
Well, I
He-
said
What's your read?
I said this.
There's no cur in him. Like, I'm watching him interact with the president. And even though, the way they exchange words, when like, I could tell like he wanted to do something and like he kind of really wanted to go there, but he had to realize
He
I'm in America.
Not the time and place. Well, you say he's playing checkers, but I don't. Zelensky went in there.
Don't talk to me like that.
I think he went in there, and that was part of the play. I'm going to get Trump all riled up. I'm going to make him look like an unhinged president. I'm going to then go on every American media news outlet where I'm going to get a lot of the sympathy from the American media. So
that's him misreading it because I don't think he's fully understanding. How much of
America wasn't going for that because America tired of that Ukraine situation.
But I'm saying, is that possible play that he had in mind? It was nice to see he got dressed up for the occasion.
I named my shotgun after Zelensky.
Oh, really? How come?
Because you come in my house, you can get it for free. You're going to get every last one of them 20 shots for free, guaranteed. But hope I don't never have to do that. Lord,
that'd be ideal.
Please, Lord.
But don't you think that's his perspective? I don't think he's necessarily cowed by Trump because he's like, I got you impeached the first time, and so I can go to EU
again. But it's a different time. Doesn't have the
but
Democrat
does he realize
majority.
that? Because he has EU. Like what they're doing right now is crazy. They're like, oh, okay, we're just going to escalate this thing and keep this fight going.
And tides are turning. I mean, you see in Germany, the Conservative Party won, so things are turning.
Well, they're all Nazis, though, according to what New York Times tells me.
Well, so are Trumpsters, according to some people. Yeah. So,
no.
But
and I think Trump's perspective is right. He's like, look, I'm not going to say anything bad about Putin. I'm not going to say anything bad about Zelensky. I need to work out a deal between both of these people because Trump's perspective, and I think he's right, is we need a lot of less dead people.
That's it. That's all Trump ever want to do. Like, man, right? He don't want nobody to die.
Because, I mean, what's the Ukrainian land worth with all the Ukrainians?
I mean, all the money.
Of course, nobody want to waste money, but man, you could get money back. But when you're dead, it's a wrap.
Well, so you're saying he's trying to prevent escalation of the war because
let me see when he spoke. It was last year. I think it was in June or July. He was headlining something in reference to the war, and his primary focus was like, I want to save lives. We could stop having people getting killed for unnecessary.
Well, what you do is you just kind of stay out of that conflict, right?
Well, that's what he's kind of doing. Is he's tiptoeing back.
Saying you can't win the war, man. Like just
But Zelensky thinks he can win the war. I don't know if he thinks he can, or if he's being told he can, or if it's a negotiating posture.
There's no.
It's like this. Growing up, right? You never want to be that one that back out. Like I never backed out from a fight.
Right. But you ever have somebody hold you back?
I done had cats try to hold me back.
Yeah, but you know what?
But I'm like, man, let me go. Or else.
But those were your Trumps. They were letting you save face. Right?
So, I don't know. But even when this has been 3 against me,
right?
I still didn't curl up. You got to kill me. You got to whoop me. And that's how I'm looking at this man here. Like, he don't want to really... Dude, you can really save a lot of lives.
Save face. It's so ego from an ego standpoint, a pride.
He really got a real tough ego.
Well, he's a short guy too.
Yeah, he got that syndrome.
Yeah.
So, I see him like, think about it when he first gave his speech. He like, I don't want no money. Give me the weapons. I want to fight.
Right.
Gave him weapons. He went into the fight like, dude, you outnumbered. You can't win this. But I'm going to die trying.
Right.
So,
and that was
whatever
impressive.
happened, hell yeah, that was impressive. Like, man, I'm like, man, who the hell is this guy?
Right.
He like, just give me some weapons. I'm going in. So
so I was conflicted when I would hear that because I'd hear these stories. I'm like, wow, this guy's a badass.
Yeah.
But then I would remember, I'm like, but this is also the same guy that kind of narked on Trump. And not that. No, I mean, the comedy's funny. No, but him in the first impeachment, I just always remember, I'm like, this is the guy that Trump was talking to, and he still got himself impeached. And so I had the sour taste in my mouth here because I'm like, this is just some corrupt bullshit going on here. And then, 3 years later, they're getting invaded and he's saying some, baller stuff. But I don't know which man is it. I mean, that's all that's really impressive.
He could be all of it. He could be all of it.
Yeah.
I heard T.I. say, man, I'm a family man. I'm a trapper. I'm an entertainer. I'm a gangster. He said, I'm every man. It just depends on what you need me to be at the time.
Yeah. Look,
so he could be all of that.
Right.
So I don't know, but again, I'm not in those shoes.
But they got to end it all. And
I hope so.
I think the current Trump team, I think they're sticking to their guns on it. I think Trump's being an amazing negotiator, just figuring this out because he knows what the pressure points are. The mineral deal, I'm kind of like, well, who gives a shit? Let's just end the war. But
it's just in the way. You know, you can't win it. Let it be.
All
You
right,
cannot win the war. You fought a good fight, and we understand you wasn't scared. But now it's time to go home. That's trap.
You can't sing and you can't do impersonations.
If I could, I wouldn't be here with you.
Good point. Fair enough.
I'd be somewhere in St. Croix somewhere,
Next question.
sipping on margaritas.
Next question. We haven't solved the problems of the world yet.
No. I don't think us knuckleheads are going to solve Ukraine and
No,
Russia.
you might not, but I can.
Okay.
What would you do?
Mind your own business.
Hmm.
Just pull out. You want to kill up him? Go ahead. You want to kill up him? Go ahead. And let's just see how this ends. The best man, you left standing.
Look, he's right. I mean, it's a great European tradition of just all the Europeans just beefing all the time up until 1945. You've no more European fighting, but prior to that, it's been thousands of years Europeans fighting each other. And I think was it George Washington said, you know, among all the other things, stay away from foreign entanglements. And I think it was foreign entanglements in Europe, and I'm misquoting.
Couldn't you say, though, really outside the U.S. and maybe parts of Asia, there's been fighting in every part of the world?
Oh, yeah. I just think the Europeans are good at it.
The Middle East and Africa. So, I mean, it's not like there's been stability across the world.
People like to fight.
And you would say, and I would label that Eastern Europe.
He even talking
not
about
Western,
Bible days,
not,
man,
what,
with the
not,
Philistines
not
and
Western
everything
Europe.
else.
I mean, there hasn't been any fighting in Western Europe since the World War II.
Well, that's maybe, is that NATO or is it EU or maybe, you know, Europe, the European countries are losing their distinctiveness? Or what I always say is the smart Europeans have all moved to America.
David and Goliath.
Your wife did, right?
Yeah, if you consider Russians Europeans.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, it's always been debated, you know, Eurasia.
Yeah, well.
Okay.
They play in the European
right now
soccer tournaments and hockey. So I would classify as European. But lighten it up, I want to know what Steve Barnes' favorite pizza place in Southwest Florida is.
Oh, Downtown House of Pizza.
D-Hop.
100%.
That's in Fort Myers, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm
Oh, yeah.
not too familiar
It's
with
good,
Fort
right?
Myers.
Yeah.
You go to Cigar Bar and then go get a slice. Maybe go back to Cigar Bar or just go get another slice. That place is the best.
Yeah.
It's good.
I used to live in New Haven Pizza. And
about
New
1:30
Haven's
in the
got
morning.
The best. A Beats.
The which one?
A Beats. New Haven Pizza.
Yeah. Oh.
It's a Beats.
And plus Trump went in there and just took over the place.
New Haven Pizza is freaking amazing.
Yeah, well, that was a cool scene, though. You know what he's talking about. When there's Trump and Byron and one of Byron's sons.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Free pizza.
Free pizza
For
I didn't even buy
everybody.
pizza. What was the place he went to? He said free
D-Hop.
some for everyone, and that was but then he
D-Hop.
didn't buy it. There was it wasn't that place. There was somewhere a restaurant he went, and he goes free Cuban. It was a Cuban place, and he's like,
In
buy
Fort
it.
Myers?
No, it was in Miami.
Oh,
But
okay.
And then people were pissed off they didn't get.
Man, we got to fact check that guy. He don't be knowing what the hell he
Yeah,
talking
I know.
about.
We got to talk about the pizza, too. So have you had D-Hop Pizza?
I have not. No.
Oh, man. It's good. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He don't
What's your favorite spot in Fort Myers that you like to go to?
Oh, my
for
house.
Evening out for dinner.
Okay, so my favorite place out with my wife right now is Da Ruma. I think that's the right place. The one.
The
By the mall. By the bell tower.
The hibachi place?
No. Okay.
There was a Daruma.
No, I'm thinking. Okay, maybe
I'm
I'm thinking of
thinking-
one of my daughter's favorite places. It's a Korean restaurant, which
Okay.
is. We went to Korea this past summer, and we came back and we went to this restaurant, and it's off College Parkway in Fort Myers.
By the mall.
Maybe it's not Daruma, and you know,
I-
it's awesome Korean food. It's as good as what we were eating in Korea.
Okay.
What
about-
Ember Steakhouse? That's the name of it.
Can't
So,
be that good if you don't remember.
Ember
the name.
Steakhouse. Well, you know, I'm also like in my late 40s and I'm forgetting stuff. I know your name is Lawrence.
Larry forgets stuff all the time. So,
So
that's fine.
Ember Steakhouse, they've got an amazing
I was hit in the
bar.
head.
Now I got to tell you about
Me
this
too.
place's bar real quick. They've got a bar that has like bartenders that do the whole like, you know, mixology thing. If you want to have Korean barbecue, they've got
Love
it in the
Korean
back.
barbecue.
They've just like, it's probably what I think is one of the best restaurants in Fort Myers.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna do this little. I don't think we got a chance to do it last time because there was a lot going on. But the rapid fire, so you have to pick one or the other. If you pick both, we call you a Democrat, and you're clearly not. So
Yeah, good luck. I mean, you can try it. I don't see how it's going to fly.
What, calling you a Democrat or
Exactly.
picking one or the
It's
other?
not what you call, it's what you answer to, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we'll lead it off. Standard question.
Isn't that rapid fire?
50 Cent or Jay-Z?
Jay-Z.
But off to a bad start.
I know.
Seinfeld or Friends?
Seinfeld.
Braveheart or Gladiator?
Gladiator.
Training Day or American Gangster?
I haven't seen Gangster, so Training Day.
You haven't seen American Gangster?
No,
I'm missing out.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Denzel.
Guns N' Roses or Motley Crue?
Motley Crue.
Nice. That's a good one there. How about Casino or Goodfellas?
Casino.
Dunkin' or Starbucks?
Duncan.
Van Halen or Aerosmith?
Van Halen.
Naples or Fort Myers?
Fort Myers.
You breezed through those.
Johnny Cochran or Willie Gary?
Cochran.
Whoa.
Gary stole a case from me.
Matlock or
A big case?
Yes.
Big case where you could have gave me $5 million and still been super rich?
Unfortunately, possibly. It was a big case.
what do you think about John Morgan?
I've told you about John Morgan. I think he's a fantastic person.
Yeah.
Great businessman, great attorney.
What do you think
I don't
about
agree
him?
with his politics.
But-
Well, he's still thinking about starting a
new
party.
I
Yeah.
saw
Yeah,
that.
good luck with that.
Yeah, well.
It's a two-party world, and so that means
Everybody knows it.
you either got to get with the program or get out of the system.
Yeah.
But I think I was talking about this before. The measure of a man is his children.
Yeah, like the
And
Trump
his kids are
children we
pretty
talked
cool.
About. Yeah. Well,
So-
okay, that's fair enough.
That man is a businessman.
Well,
Businessman for sure.
friggin-
But his kids turned out well too.
Yeah, marketing genius, and he's got offices all over
Oh.
Florida. Yeah. Now I see I watch like YouTube podcasts and videos, not even multi-million views, and you see Morgan and Morgan ads popping up everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And when I say ads, like them doing
For
promos
the
for Morgan
people.
and Morgan
For
and
the
out of like
people.
LA and stuff. So
Yeah.
he's
Yeah,
definitely
they're doing it.
yeah, he's big. And what's the fascination with garbage pail kids trading cards?
I was just messing with you.
Oh, okay.
We were just
I
talking.
didn't know.
We were talking baseball
See,
cards.
that's why I said I didn't know if you were being serious or not. And you
I
said,
took my daughters to Red Sox spring training opening game.
was that last week?
Like I think 2 weeks
Weeks
ago.
ago, yeah.
And so we got the tops 25 Series 1, like some, and me and her sat down and picked out all the ball cards, like the cool stuff and what's trash.
Okay.
So that's why I was like, I'm going to bring some baseball cards for you.
All right.
Baseball guys.
No. Well, Tim was asking. We were telling Steve that Mike Matheny was in the studio because I know you're a big baseball guy. So
If I could do it all over again,
What'd you do?
what would
I'll
you-
be swinging that bat.
If I could do it all over again, I would not open my GI Joes because those are so valuable now. If they're in the box and like Transformers,
Yeah, but I mean,
mean-
all those kids that bought GI Joes and didn't take them out of the box,
They were
like
weird.
those are all serial killers.
that's true.
Like,
Or you buy two.
Who's doing that
You
shit?
you open one and you.
Yeah, man.
Do you know any
everybody-
kid that got a toy and didn't open it? That's not your friend,
Yeah.
Larry. Like you don't want to talk to that kid.
Yeah, they still looking for the other people in the basement.
And real quick, we'll close. Just talk about Martin Law Firm. I'll give you a little plug here. What you guys
Hey,
do?
we're a law firm that looks
Mhm.
to serve the community. As dorky as that sounds, our job is consumer law, and so we're trying to help people out. Right now, our big thing is bankruptcy, and we're getting people left and right calling us that can't afford to pay their bills, and it's only getting worse. And I have people. I'm working on doing more of our YouTube promotions. And so we got to do, the videos explaining things. And one of the things I forgot that people don't know is that if you have like crazy credit card bills, almost maybe the last thing you want to do is go cash out your 401k to pay your credit card bills. And the reason why is if you file for bankruptcy, Florida's cool. Florida has some really good bankruptcy protection laws. Like there's a reason OJ moved here. All right. You can go keep your home and
That's
file for bankruptcy.
Great promotion for Florida, by the
Right?
way.
OJ? Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
that's
He didn't do it. You can keep your home.
True lawyer
You
right
can
there.
go and also keep millions of dollars in your 401k. And then that money that 401k pours out, you get to keep. But you still file for bankruptcy. So it'd be kind of silly. Like if I need to go file for bankruptcy and then I take money out of my 401k and then file, you just lit $50,000, $20,000, $100,000 on fire that you didn't need to do.
Yeah.
So our bankruptcy practice, we see all types. We got people making a whole ton of money that just have more debt than they can afford to regular folks that just can't pay anything. And everybody's stressed and upset. It puts it in perspective when you have a cop in your bathroom throwing up because he's scared that he's got to talk to me about his bankruptcy. And little does he know, his lieutenant was there the last week. you know? And I'm like, bro, it sucks, but we'll get your problem figured out. It doesn't cost that much money either. A couple $1,000. You do the bankruptcy, you get rid of your debt, and you move on with your life. Pronto, too. It's cool.
Martin Law Firm making bankruptcies great again.
Mm-hmm.
So go see the Martin Law Firm.
I don't want to never have to see you.
See what?
In you in that aspect.
Inside of my office?
Unless we having a drink.
I know everybody's secrets, man. There's nothing to be ashamed of with financial stuff, the divorce
Okay, listen,
stuff,
if I had any type of financial problem, I'd let the world know. Like, man, listen, Larry doing bad. Who can help me? Somebody give me a job, whatever. You know, there's no shame.
Yeah,
because closed mouths don't get fed. So if you need help, ask.
And I do tell anybody who hires me for this, you need to go tell your friends that you're doing it, because that person may be struggling and they may be feeling deep shame that they're in that same financial situation. And they think, well, you know, Jimmy down the street's rich. He's got all this money. He's got a nice truck. Turns out Jimmy
don't got nothing.
Yeah. And
I know a lot of those.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do litigation like suing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the best. I love it. Go to court.
I'm going to sue you, man.
I need to, well, that's fine. I ain't got nothing, but I need to talk to him.
I'm suing you for libel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we do defamation defense.
No. This guy. We got to get him.
Okay.
We're going to get him, Steve.
All right. What did I say about you?
Man, you done told so many lies, man. We just going to end the show. We just about to end the show. It's been fun. We got to run.
Tim's
see you on another one.
Goodbye.
See how that works, Tim? I said one thing. You can name one thing. Are we still rolling?
No, we're out. We're
one
out.
thing. You want to bet? You want to bet? Hey, just between me and you.
We're out.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
So you guys want to grab smokes or what?
Yeah, I got to go. I told you I'm supposed to meet John at 4 o'clock anyway.
Let's go. Can I hit your head real quick?
Yeah.